That's still so we talked about it. Did we talk about it on the show or
Yeah,
during
oh
the
no, we
break?
talked about it on the show.
Yeah, I hate cults. Cults are like the actual scariest thing to me.
Okay.
That, like, you know, in terms of like movies or just IRL, and it's because of how real they are. Like, cults are super real and super effective. And we talked about, because my girlfriend didn't know about Jared Leto's like
Oh,
cult
yeah.
island with all the women that like obsess over him, and he goes
Right.
to that island and just disappears for months on end, and then come back and fucking shoot a movie or
It's
release
weird.
like a 30 Seconds to Mars album.
Yeah.
Weird.
And 30 Seconds to Mars just plays on the island. Too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're in with it.
Literally. It's such a strange, because like, you know, that's some kind of sex thing, right?
Right.
That has to be some kind of weird sex fantasy kink thing for Jared Leto, and it got too big, I think. As like, it was something where like he was getting weird and kinky with it, and he's just in over his head now, and so he's like, well, guess I'm a fucking cult leader. Like, I guess I just have a cult island now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, super wild. Cults are scary to me. Like, I was telling him, it was like a movie. It was a Paranormal Activity movie, and there was like a scene with a bunch of like old people in robes outside of someone's house, like walking towards the house, you know, and like a collective unit, and it was like a big field, so you could see all the old people walking toward. It was the scariest thing, because it's like, it literally is just a mass of people that all believe one thing, and so
a bunch of delusional folk.
Yeah, and so if that one thing that they believe is to like kill you, or you know, like that is where it's scary to me, that like they can and will believe that sort of thing on the snap of one person's
Well,
finger.
and it's usually people that like will fall for anything too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like people like that, when they fall for it, they jump all the way in.
Yeah.
And that's what
They're
what makes it scary.
Yeah, all or nothing, 100%. Yeah, it's super. I just think that, and like a lot of the times too, cults get into like weird religious necks, you know, like weird corners of religion that are really dark, and
Yeah,
like,
they're like religious gangs.
literally, and it's like, and they're like, I mean, maybe I'm getting all of this from movies, but like, it seems like every cult will have like some kind of thing that they worship, and it's either like a demon or it's some kind of different thing. It's like, why? Like, that's weird. That's, I don't know. Cults are scary to me because they're so real.
They're a thing.
They have,
and there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, and it's just like, we don't.
And you don't know, and you're not supposed to.
Well, there's nothing to do, and like a lot of, or at least you can assume that there's a decent amount of cults that have connections to like people in high power. Or,
Oh, definitely.
you know, people in high places, and so it's like these cults then
Friends in low places
have power. You know, like these cults have say and can do things if they want to under the radar. And probably definitely do, and we just don't hear about it, you know?
Yeah. We talked about Heaven's Gate, because I said that was the only thing that really freaked me out as far as cults go, is like the fact that Heaven's Gate happened.
Yeah.
The dude's dead.
Yeah.
People are dead.
Yeah.
And they're still a cult.
Yeah.
And they had national, and they still have a website. And I remember seeing the website, like someone
Yeah.
go to it in a video, and I'm like, that's crazy. That's still up and being updated, and people are
and it's
still buying it. And I just went to the website.
Same website, yeah. Same exact website.
Now my computer's going to be flagged because I'm on heavensgate.com. But
Well, how much is the book? No.
yeah, do you guys want to order the tapes or what?
But like, just, I don't know. Cults are definitely, in terms of like things that you could put into media to scare me, Heaven's Gate, or not Heaven's Gate, cults in general. It's just, that's probably top of the list.
Apparently, there's a section on the Heaven's Gate website that says how Heaven's Gate members might appear. How members of the Kingdom of Heaven might appear, it says. And it's just a little gray man.
Nice.
It's like your stereotypical sci-fi alien that someone found this.
What's the thing that it's not a cult, but Scientology, people think it's a cult.
That's a cult. No, that's a cult. Yeah.
People think that's Tom Cruise is in it and stuff. Yeah, that's wild.
What's John Travolta's in it?
That's so wild.
Who's the one that got out? Leah Remini?
Yes. The wife from
Kingdom Queens.
No, King of
Yes,
Queens.
King of Queens.
Yeah.
That's so wild. She was in Scientology and got
Yeah,
out.
and she's like vocal
I think
about
she
how
has like a
she's like,
podcast or something about it.
well, remember she was on that. It's on CBS, but it's like The View. She was on that
really?
show for a while, and
Really?
then she started speaking out against Scientology,
Good.
and now she's not on the show anymore.
Huh.
So they kicked her off the show. But yeah, ironically enough, at the station when we're working, they'll play iHeart commercials, and the way that they do it is they play like 2 minutes of a podcast, and then they're like, if you want to hear more, you could listen to, and one of her commercials will play, and like she gets into it, and I'm like, I might want to listen to that because that actually sounds pretty good.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is it Scientology? Is it the stress meter? Is that Scientology? Is that part of it?
Yes. Yeah. When they do
what?
like the tests and everything, you sit
Yeah.
down
Is
and
it?
they tell you how stressed you are, and if you hit a certain level, then you need science.
Yeah. So they did
That's
they did a meme
wild.
episode
That's
of it
wild.
in It's Always Sunny.
Uh-huh.
It was a pyramid scheme, but like part of the thing that you do is like it's a vigor test kind of thing. So they give you two little grips to hold on to, and they got a meter. And the meme in Sunny was you're 138 stress. Well, I'm 138 what units. There's no measurement of it. So
Yeah, right.
So but like you hold this thing and they tell you how stressed you are, and they give you like some documentation from there to read, and if you follow up, that they
Yeah.
indoctrinate you into Scientology. That's how it goes.
That's
and it's
so
like crazy
wild.
money to join
Yeah,
too.
yeah. You got
That's
to pay.
So wild. Yeah, and it's like that's like a cult with like that's public that has extra steps.
It's a cult and a pyramid scheme, like together.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's like there are cults that are literally just like backwoods hillbillies that you can just go join and be like, I'm a part of this community now, and
Yeah.
that's how it is, and that's you just are, or like I think of they're not even like it's
I
so
need to
weird.
get off this website. Hang on.
It's where it's like one guy and he has like 17 or like 30 wives, and then he has wives or he like marries like his kids and that kind of shit where that's not
like sister wives and stuff like that.
well kind of, but
like a compound cult.
yeah, like a compound cult where like it's one guy and then everyone else is either his wife or like the kid of one of his wives, and then he ends up marrying and like fucking that girl.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
That shit's so like, because that's a cult, but those are like weird inside communities that like you can't really breach from the outside without knowing one of the wives or something like that. Like how do
Right,
you?
yeah. How do
do
you
you-
get indoctrinated into that cult?
Are
Yeah,
you
how do you-
guys? Did you guys know about the Kirtland cult?
No, there's
So-
a cult in Kirtland.
I guess back in 1990.
Oh.
Because I just looked up Northeast Ohio cults.
Yeah,
just to
yeah.
see if
There's a
anything-
bunch.
Really?
Well, the headline is Clevelanders will never forget this shocking tragedy that happened over a quarter century ago. Way back in 1990, a grisly discovery shook the nation. There were murders, the media reported, in a barn in rural Ohio. This quaint community had been peaceful, residents reported. It was an enchanted place to live, la 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 la. But it talks about how this guy moved from Missouri to Kirtland and was recognized by the Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints. And
That's the Mormons?
yes,
Okay.
Which I will say, I actually know a lot of Mormons. Just where I grew up, they are great people.
I assume
They
that
are.
I assume that general populace Mormons are not bad people.
Yeah, it's
I
kinda
assume they're
like-
normal.
It's I guess any religion you could do it with, but like the Mormons and Catholics kind of go one to one with me. Like there's Catholics that are like the guys in the Vatican who have sovereign land and act like World War II didn't happen
Yeah.
and worship a man and touch kids.
Yeah.
And then there's dudes like, oh no, I grew up in went to Catholic church and I
Yeah,
take
went
communion,
to Sunday
like
school.
normal guys,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's Mormons that are like, oh yeah, no, I'm Mormon and we have family night and do things like that. But then there's Mormons that are recruiters in a cult.
Yeah.
But,
That's a good analogy. I feel like.
This is a wrestling vignette, by the way.
Okay, yeah, no, I saw that he pulled up a picture of like a guy in a pig hat.
It's a
and
sheep mask.
But,
scary. Whatever it is, it's scary. He's in
Take
the
it down.
woods.
I'll take it down.
I got scared.
But yeah, so apparently, like they were like just killing people. This cult, like they were
Really?
just sacrificing people left and right. I'll have to look into this.
See,
more.
that's the thing is like, if some cults will have, and it depends on the person, it depends on the cult, whatever, this, that, and the third. But like, if the cult leader is like, hey, we're going to sacrifice you to God and you're going to be a sacrifice and you're going to love it.
Yeah.
They're like, they'll be like, okay, like, let's do this, like,
Fully committed
yeah,
to
gung
the
ho.
bit.
Yeah, like gung ho. Like, totally. It's like, that's wild that they can get that far in. Like, you can get that far deep into the rabbit
Yeah.
hole.
I would like to interview a cult leader or member.
Yeah.
Just because I'd like to pick their brain.
Well, it's so like, to me, that seems like one of those things where you're gonna be talking in circles for a long time of like, because that they just can't be reasoned with, or
Right.
they'll get like angry or something.
well,
like
that's
that.
where I feel like you'd have to feed into their ego.
Here's my
yeah,
thing.
maybe.
Yeah, you would have to
just to
get them
get
going.
just to get it out. Yeah.
Yep.
My thing is, and I'm not saying it's an easy process or it'd be done in one conversation, but if you have someone who is susceptible enough to join a cult and believe, like in your case, like you were saying, like, oh, they're going to be sacrificed and it's for the better of everyone and they're gung ho about it.
Right.
If they're gullible enough to believe that from some random dude they met,
Yeah.
I can probably convince them otherwise in a couple conversations with something else, right?
But you have to understand that they don't view it as just a random dude they met. They believe this person is
fair.
a prophet.
Okay.
Prophet,
That's fair.
like this person is of God. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Because I mean,
you ever heard of Styles Rebel Radio? I'm the guy.
But they taken advantage of people like that. I mean, for forever.
Well, yeah,
snake oil salesman, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But they've been taking advantage of people forever.
That's the thing with like, I mean, I guess the only term that I can think of for it is taking advantage, but like being that deceptively smart of like, if I tell these people that I have been touched by God and I am like of a higher being than them, even only slightly, they will literally bow on their knees before me and do anything that I tell them.
Well,
to
that's
do.
why I relate it to gangs. It's the same thing, just gangs don't have the religious undertones.
Yeah. No, that's true.
You look up to somebody, you have a leader, you're going out, you're doing whatever the leader tells you to do because you believe it's for the greater good.
Yeah, that's very true.
I thought about this a long time ago. I watched a lot of the social experiment videos that people were doing, like when those were really big.
Yeah.
And I don't know what made me think. It was like some kind of like church one where like it was the dude went to different denomination churches every week or something and would tell the pastor after the service that he came from whatever church he was at before.
Right.
And I'm like, that's an interesting concept, right? Because
Yeah.
he was trying to get the response.
Right.
I am of the opinion that given enough time to prep, I could start a fake cult without ever meeting anyone through some kind of like digital newsletter that people would get. And just like, even if it's
Probably.
people I know, right? But they don't know it's me. I feel like I could accumulate a nice little cult just by like reaching out to digital news in a digital newsletter
Yeah.
or like knowing things about
Yeah.
their life without them knowing it's me
Yeah.
and preaching to that. I feel like it wouldn't be
Probably.
hard to start
Yeah,
a,
I mean,
a
just think
cyber cult.
of all the people you could get if you just started like Power of Positivity.
Or offered NFTs.
But you know what I mean though, like
Yeah.
just going
Yeah.
off of that, like
Yeah.
if you really sell somebody like these are the steps you need to take to truly be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the way the world is right now, and let's say like 30 and under, people are gonna eat that up.
Oh, yeah.
People will buy it. Yeah, that's the thing. You'll always be able to find a market for just about anything if you can. I'm of the belief you can sell something well enough. Like there's,
Yeah.
the sale. I could sell snow to a snowman, stuff like that. Like there's definitely you can find a market for something. You
I
can
think it's
sell
ice
it,
to an
you know?
Eskimo.
Whatever, same thing. Like you can always sell. As long as you find the market, you can sell things to people.
Yeah.
You will always be able to sell shit.
See, cults,
Especially the idea of like.
Just peace.
Yeah,
just
get
a
your-
belief.
Be happy. You're gonna be better. You're gonna be a better person because of this. Or,
And that's the thing too. Like at least I would imagine the good ones, like the ones that have stuck around decades and have a lot of following and stuff like that, even after being public.
yeah,
They're not selling a product right off the bat. They're selling an ideology and they're giving
Yeah.
an ideology.
Right.
Just, hey,
yeah.
this is how you do it. Come hang out at this meeting we're gonna have and
Yeah.
and
Come
just-
learn more.
Yeah, just learn and learn, and then
Yeah.
once they're in, then you start taking them for their
Right.
money,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, remember that episode of Boy Meets World where Sean joins a cult?
No.
That's a
No.
good episode.
I remember the one where Vader's there.
That's a good
Wait.
episode too.
Darth Vader.
Yes.
Oh,
You know what they made that in that episode? Cookies.
That's what they started to call it. They hate the cookies.
216. No, but no. I think with cults, you could sell one because you could sell one of two things to anybody. You can sell peace and love, or you can sell hate.
peace and love. Peace
Because,
and love.
like, think about it. So, like, when you look at like the Black Panthers or the KKK, what are they selling to their members? They're selling hate.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
but at the same time, they're also selling peace. Without this that we hate, we would have
yeah,
peace.
yeah,
That's the main thing with cults. At least like when because I watch the videos on it. It really
Yeah.
fascinates me.
Yeah.
That's like I remember I got in trouble in high school because it was something. If you could interview anybody, who would it be and why? I would love to sit down and pick Hitler's brain. I truly would. Just so
He wrote a book once.
Yeah, but it's so poorly written, and the translation over to English is terrible. He wrote it while he was in prison. It's not great. But like, I would love to just hear like, did you actually believe what you were saying, or did you know it would be the easiest way to get what you wanted? Like, what was it? Because I think that's what it comes down to for cult leaders. They want something. What is it? Do they want money? Do they want power? Is it a mixture of both? And then how do they come up with the idea of what to sell?
Yeah.
to the people. Like that. That's what I would love to find that out.
What's the town? It's not far from here, but it's a cult town, or it was for like 50 years. It's what's the ski place?
Boston Mills.
Boston Mills Brandywine.
Yeah.
That was a cult town.
Oh, I know of
And it's
near there's Helltown,
Yeah.
Ohio, that like they don't
that all goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
They got exiled or
Yeah,
something, like
it
they had
was-
to get off the land because they were essentially squatters, and the government kicked them out of like the Boston Mills Brandywine
Yeah.
area.
it was, from what I understood, it was they, for unknown reason, like the government wouldn't tell the citizens why, but it was the day before Christmas. They told everyone in their families to get up. They had to get up and leave out of their houses, and they didn't tell them why. There was like an undisclosed, and the house or the town has been vacant since then. And that
Yeah.
was in like the 60s or something.
Yeah,
Really?
all
Yeah.
this stuff's still there.
Yeah.
The houses and everything.
In
Yeah,
Peninsula.
Yeah, in
It's
Peninsula.
it's insane.
yeah.
I've tried to find it. I don't know exactly where it's at.
I'm pretty sure it was a thing of like undisclosed as to why, and that's why like
Really?
there's like a bunch of lore around it now, because it was a weird mystery, and it
We-
was right before Christmas.
I want to look up and see if if they have a release date on the files.
On Helltown?
that would
because
be interesting.
like JFK, I know the JFK stuff that comes out in like 50 years. They just extended that. So ironically enough,
oh, they did.
yes.
'Cause
So
I
what
know
happens?
that it was like kind of soon.
What happens with So we'll find out the JFK details, the stuff with the COVID shot, and there was something else. It's all going to be released in the same year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I'm to the point now that I'm like, I'm in good shape, but I kind of want to make sure I'm in better shape because I want to know. So I might just
Yeah.
try to stay alive for like the next 80 years.
And that's the
Yeah.
year when we see everything crumble.
Yeah,
If we've
we're-
made it that far.
it's going to crumble way before then.
Yeah.
I have Helltown, Ohio right here. But real quick, before I read this, the only reason I know about the Brandywine and Boston Mills stuff is because my aunt bought a house in Cuyahoga Falls. And where it's at, it's really far off of the highway. There's no good highway to take to it.
Yeah.
And
It's on my houses, dude. I hate it.
when she moved, I was still living in Cleveland. So the way I'd take down here is Route 8 all the way. And then you get off at Route 8, but it gets you off at Brandywine. And you drive through the woods for
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the first time I went out there, they were moving, like, well, can you help? We're going to paint. We're going to get stuff set up. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. So I came after work, and it's probably 10, 11 o'clock at night. And it's one winding road with no street lights, and it's a bunch of, like, old farmhouses with fences.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm driving there, I feel, and this is a true story, the whole time I'm driving there, I feel uneasy. And, like, I had music on. I was listening to music. It was just me in the car. And I'm like, I'm not necessarily scared, but I just had this uneasy
Something's
feeling.
off,
I'm like, I
yeah.
don't know why.
Something's off, yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm being watched, something. There's no other cars on the road. I saw one car pass me the whole time.
Right.
And so I'm driving down there, and I finally get to the end of, like, this deep wooded area, and there's, like, a gate at the end of the road. And I get to the end of it, and I turn at the light, whatever it was, and I get back on, like, a main road. And from there, it's, like, a couple minutes away. So I get to the house, and I'm telling her that they're eating dinner. And she's like, well, what way did it take you out? Because we're trying to find a fast way still. There's no highway.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I took 8, but it spit me out in this weird areas, like by the ski resorts, and then there's a bunch of woods.
Yeah.
And there's like a one little lane road with a bunch of turns and no lights. And she's like, oh, you went through like the Boston Mills area. I'm like, I guess.
Yeah.
And she goes, did you see anything? And I'm like, that's a weird question.
Right.
I'm like, no. She's like, that's a cult town. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, no, they said that's haunted because there's a bunch of cults that live there, and I guess there's still squatters in the houses and stuff because they got kicked out. I'm like, oh, well, that's good to know. That's the uneasy feeling I felt.
That's the wrong Helltown.
Okay.
That you're looking at. So I actually pulled it up, and there's really not too much on it.
Right, because that's
Yeah,
it
so
was,
you
like,
actually have to
undisclosed.
look up Boston, Summit County, Ohio. So the community takes its name from Boston Township, the first settlement of Boston, made in 1820, blah, 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 blah. So a post office called Boston was established in 1825 and remained operational until 1957. In 1974, a significant portion of the area near Boston was added to what would become the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, so on and so forth. So it actually doesn't even say anything.
Between 57 and 74.
Correct.
That's
It
so
doesn't
wild.
say
crazy.
anything.
That's so wild.
So
And yes, this is that area because I
Yeah.
remember looking
Oh,
up
yeah.
an article for this.
Yeah,
Right,
it's-
yeah.
I
Right.
mean, I've walked through the woods. That is that area. That is the Helltown.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was just woods,
Right.
Like, but I mean, everyone that I was with was like, "Oh, dude, this is Helltown."
Did you know
Like,
at the
we're in-
time?
Yeah,
Okay.
No, I have pictures from it actually.
So
but yeah, I mean, it's pretty close.
Do you see the references on this wiki article?
I do not.
So, okay, what Jake just read is the entire article. That's the entire
Right.
wiki page for this
Right.
town. But under it in the references, other than Cuyahoga Valley Railroad, it's, where is it? Ohio town names, history of Ohio with outline of sketch, history of Summit County and citizens representative, and then does the Helltown documentary film where the abandoned town is in Ohio. So like there's reference to it in the reference, but not in the article.
Click on that. Click on that
right,
reference.
That's what. Yeah. I
Here we
just
go,
went to.
boys.
It mentions it.
It does not.
Okay.
So it does not.
False. Yeah.
So when I was at OMS, we had to do a what was that, Connections Cleveland? Is that what it was
Yep.
with the video package?
Yep.
And we did the Gore Orphanage, Crybaby Bridge stuff. We saw some creepy stuff, nothing like, but we had that eerie feeling at first before like cars and stuff started driving by. We wanted to do this.
Click the one like yeah.
That's the
So-
one I was on. That's the wrong one.
sorry.
So we were ready to go and do this, and it was to the point that some of the teachers there were like, "Hey, don't do that, because like you might legitimately like something might happen. Like that entire town is shut down. Don't do that." And it was Jack John saying that. So we were like, "Okay, Jack John's pretty legit." And then also Gary Wenner, he was like, "Yeah, don't do that. I get why you guys want to do it, because we went out at night. Like we were at like Crybaby Bridge for like a good 8 hours in the middle of the night." And they were like, "Yeah, don't do that, because something might happen to you, and we don't want that to happen." And then, you know me, I'm like, "But it'd be great content."